Oh, you changed your name.
I'm gonna hit you with a plate.
Yeah, and I did I got a new made a new what do you call it, uh channel art or something.
Oh, cool.
All right. Hola. Bienvenidos. Aloha.
Welcome.
¿Cómo está?
Muy bien, muy bien.
And this
What's
is
up?
the Freak Show, Unanswered Questions / theories / discussions / Kinky Kitty's Corner.
Yay.
All right, I'm ready for
Shall we discuss Asylum from Kitty's perspective?
it.
No.
We don't want to do Kitty's
That's
Corner right now.
That's probably its own horror story, right, Kitty?
The past couple weeks has been, yeah. I'm contemplating getting the nice jacket that lets me hug myself.
Aw.
Well, next week we'll all be live. Maybe Kitty will be live from Briarcliff, but you know.
Not
Yay.
dropping plates.
All right.
You know, since I was dropping plates, right? That was a distinctive sound.
Do you guys want to start Freak Show or discuss any previous?
Show over here.
What's going on?
I'm good wherever you guys are.
Yes, whatever the agenda is.
Anybody
Like
have
I
any thoughts before we start Freak Show?
Nope. Like I said, I'm winging it because it's been very chaotic the past couple of days.
Yeah, I hear you.
I have a bone to pick with Coven, real quick.
Oh, Lord again. Oh, I thought we were
I
finished
came-
covering.
To a realization.
Look, there you are. See?
For all this time I've watched American Horror Story, I always thought, damn, why do some people hate Coven? And then I realized, I understand.
Thank you. It's the worst season.
I finally get it. I still think
you.
it's one of the best seasons, and I like it, but now I understand.
It had a lot of potential, and I think they just had too much going at one time, and they kind of dropped the ball.
It was the first season that he threw away. Number one, he threw that season away. And number two, it was the season that he wanted to experiment with, try all the different genres, and it just didn't work.
I loved it, don't get me wrong, but like I see where everybody's talking about now.
Well, let's just hope if he does this spin-off, if he does do a spin-off, that it will hopefully answer a lot of the questions and the plots that all got twisted in that season together.
Hopefully,
The hell?
I swear to God, like there has to be another witch season after Apocalypse. Like they just did not do it justice.
So how about I'm mad as fuck because Coven is so shoved full of everybody has so much shit and there's so much shit going on, and yet he fucking did that shit in Roanoke.
Literally.
He's like, let's see if we can make it work again. Didn't work the first time.
All right. Freak Show. Now, these questions, some of them are like out of order because then I went back and realized, and you know, whatever. So they're not really necessarily in order. So it is what it is. How did Miss Catler, how did she keep the girls hidden for so long? Like, how old were the twins?
Well, you know,
they're in their 20s.
That's actually based on the true story, though. So, like, that lady was actually able to keep those twins actually hidden for quite a while from the public and from other people. And I think Mike was going to further elaborate on that.
It was actually based off of a couple different stories combined. Yeah. But there was a woman who had, I don't even remember if they were boys or girls at this point. But
Abby and
there was a
Brittany.
woman, and she did keep the children all through their childhood. And it wasn't. I believe, if I'm right, I'd have to look it up. I believe that that they were only found when they got really ill.
But
I'd have to look up that. Like I said, there's 2 or 3 different stories that were kind of combined to kind of make Bet and Dot who they were. They were also based off of another very famous performing sisters that were on the circuit for a long time. But as far as the woman keeping
they were conjoined at the hip, though.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now there was also Abby and Brittany, and
they're still around, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're school teachers now.
Yeah, they're working. Yeah, their journey was amazing. Their YouTube journey or whatever they had.
I also think they're married. I'm not.
I know
sure.
last I heard one of them was dating, but maybe they did get married finally. That's some crazy mess to me.
Anyways,
would be really difficult.
One of the twins mentioned that they went and snuck in and saw a movie. How did they do that? Like nobody.
Did she say I thought she said she wanted to.
I could have sworn they said something about sneaking out and doing something, and I'm just like, how would they even go about doing that? Like,
I think those were her dreams. That was Dot's dreams. That she wanted to go out. She wanted to be in the movies, but she couldn't. They couldn't get out anywhere.
Why doesn't Ethel just simply shave?
Because it'll always grow back. You'll get. I mean, what kind of facial hair are you rocking these days? Any? Once you start the shaving process, it's over. It comes in thicker. It comes in heavier. You're always going to have that 5 o'clock shadow. So it's for a woman to have facial hair like that to just keep the initial beard. It's softer. It's better taken care of.
Plus, then she wouldn't have had her lifeline, which was
her career
at the Freak Show.
Yep.
She would have just been an average woman.
Yep. Who needs to shave every day?
All right. I don't know if this is probably just for the shock factor of why they concluded this, but I don't know. It just gave me a bad taste in my mouth. Okay, so towards the end of Freak Show, and like in the middle, you start to realize that like this group of freaks are like a family. They're just like a family.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why in the first episode were they having like freaky orgies and shit on like videos and stuff? Like that was just so weird.
It's very real. That's very true.
Yeah.
When you deal with a community like that, a commune like that, remember these people were outside the confines of regular society. They were a family. They were a family in the sense of the word. I think you're misunderstanding the word family. The family is they live and die for each other. But because of that small commune type of area, it's also that those are their sexual experiences. Those are their crushes. Like, look at any type of society. You go to school, you're in your classrooms every day. You get the crushes on the kids that are in your classroom. And same thing with them.
Not to mention the fact that it wasn't like, other than when Paul found Penny, there wasn't much opportunity for them outside of that so-called family to find opportunities for mates.
Right.
Because they were freaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the freaks were very, very disowned from society. They're shunned from society back in that day.
And it's very well known too that even on the set of The Wizard of Oz, the Munchkins were known for wild parties and wild orgies.
Yes, there's a book. One of them wrote a book somewhere. One of them wrote a book before they died, and they really talked about the whole huge sexual activities that were going on there.
Yeah.
Lots of drugs and partying and stuff.
Judy Garland talked a lot about basically just, it wasn't called that, but from what we know now, full-on sexual harassment daily by Munchkins, and she was assaulted by Munchkins.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yes, it's a different mindset. It's a different way of life. These people are confined to their own culture, their own living. And back then, they had no chance out in society. None.
Yeah, it wasn't like it is now, where we're more accepting as a society. I mean, even nowadays, people still aren't as accepting, but we're a lot more accepting than they were, 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah, that thing that those girls were doing, Brittany and them, that would never have happened back then. They never would have been school teachers. They never would have had a normal life.
Yeah, because like my girl Nurse Penny said, she'd take it if she would have given birth to Bet and Dot, she would have drowned him in the tub.
Right.
Yep.
And
People
I
do
only
that.
say she's
Absolutely.
my girl because I got this weird problem Ryan Murphy and I have to discuss.
Okay.
I now have this
Discuss.
fucked up, like, I think Ryan Murphy and I are obsessed with Ravish Me Red because the fucking red on her lips when she's like, don't let nurse whatever catch you with red lips on while you're on the floor. And I'm thinking, is that fucking Ravish Me Red?
Yes, I'm telling you, Jessica Lange's
Yeah,
character
Jessica Lange.
Ravish Me Red theme with every single one of her characters.
Doesn't
Didn't
have
she-
Fiona's dress and Coven?
No, Penny, like the one that ends up going and getting all hooked on opium and shit because
Mhm. But I think
she's-
one of Jessica Lange's characters actually says that it is Ravish Me Red. One of the characters in one of her series.
Fiona had a dress that was red whenever she killed Madison. Wasn't that a red dress?
yeah, see, I'm like, I have fucking red lipstick and red dresses and red everything. And
What
Ryan
about
Murphy and I have
Constance,
to,
though? I don't think she wore
opposite
any.
station.
Yeah, Constance actually did have Ravish Me Red when she shot, what's his tits?
Yeah, it was
In The Maid.
She says the words "Ravish Me Red" at one point in one of the series. It may be Constance.
She said it in
She said in Asylum.
Asylum.
Okay. Well, all right, y'all are soulmates.
Well, speaking of which, all this. Okay, this is the last season. People could argue. Actually, yeah, it is the last season where they give hints to the next season. Because in Hotel, I can't think of one
No, they did it for Roanoke.
ounce of.
It's somebody look up on Wiki. Here, I can look up on Wikipedia. Hold
I
on.
really don't
Wikipedia has
recall
it
in
all written down.
Hotel.
I think they all do. Let me see here. They're just not as obvious.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I remember Hotel being mostly kind of
Wait,
inclusive
yeah,
of.
scratch that. Hold on. Yeah, they did have a Roanoke
Yeah.
Blue. It was that Billy Dean's reality show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Well, they had a lot of hotel ones. The Top Hat situation. What was it? I also worked at hotels in Germany. What the fuck else? There was like when I watched it again, I was like, damn.
Doesn't Mary have a video on her
Okay.
library that goes through all these?
I think so.
I think she's got a video somewhere.
About the
Easter eggs
connection?
that connect. Yes.
No, not the connection. She said she's going to do one, though.
Oh, okay. Mary, you listening?
Yeah.
Go do. Hop to.
Yeah, because she'll probably do a better job than GameSpot Universe did, because I think that they had one of those that, like, how everything is all linked.
I found one that I believe it was Think Story who did it. Did a machete timeline breakdown. It was really cool.
Dandy
Is
bathed
that the
in
one-
blood. Didn't somebody in Hotel bathe in blood? Just like Dandy did? Or am I crazy?
Bathe in blood? I don't remember.
I could have sworn somebody.
If anybody did, it would have been the Countess.
Right. Like,
But I don't
maybe she didn't bathe in blood or something. I don't know. But there was like there was like a lot of like low key.
It would have been cool if she did. That would have very much been an Elizabeth Bathory kind of thing.
Right. Ooh, that would have been good.
Yeah, I don't see it, Kenny. I'll dig it up on our next one, Kenny. I'll go through them because it's somewhere. I was reading a few months ago, so it's somewhere.
Okay, why doesn't Twisty take his anger out on the freaks? If all along, like when he was talking to Edward, what's his titties, that it was he was just basically like mad at the freaks and whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, why don't you just go after them? Like, why don't you just pull a Dandy and shoot up the whole place? You know what I
I have
mean?
problems with Twisty,
But
too.
he had a
I do have
stupid
problems with Twisty.
reason, like for that, like, oh, like I took the child away from the parents. It was I don't know. I feel
See,
like they should
my
have a
problem-
better backstory.
Yeah,
for
my
him.
problem with Twisty was the hidden backstory kind of changes all of his behavior. Look at Twisty right there. Go ahead, Twisty. It was a beautiful backstory and it was a great surprise twist. But if you go back and you like look at the first scene with the kids picnicking, and then you could look at the scene with him in the toy store and terrorizing the kids, that's not the Twisty that they wanted to present in the backstory. So it kind of conflicted with each other. It's like if you wanted to use that backstory, that's fine. He could have still captured the kids, which is fine. But he shouldn't have gone out and murdered just those innocent people in the parks, because that really wasn't the MO of the Twisty.
Well, that's why he murdered innocent people, because the freaks. Like, that made no sense.
Yeah. That was my biggest problem with Twisty as well. I mean, I understand why he was used. It was a great horror image to use in the beginning. Great backstory. They just didn't match the two.
Do you guys also remember when Freak Show was being promoted? Like, they acted like Twisty was going to be like a 10 episode type of character.
That's the thing. They used him as the face of the season.
Sort of like they did with Adam
element of the
Levine.
season. Yeah, and it wasn't the case. And I also have a problem with good God, Lord, put that Twisty mess down. I also have a problem with Twisty in Cult, because why would this
Fucking hot.
freak show performer?
Melinda, you look like some Amish person now.
Yeah, I do, don't I?
Yeah, there you go. But why would this freak show performer, who basically committed a couple of murders, captured a couple of kids, was killed
The
and
Handmaid's
disappeared,
Tale.
become a big cultural icon for
Yeah,
Cult?
then
I
get to
don't
be-
understand how that would have been those events with dolls and comic books and all that stuff.
Yeah, I like Twisty. I really do. But I agree with you guys. Like the whole killing of the people in the park, like at the beginning, that made no sense, because, like you said, like his whole thing was the freaks. So, but he does explain it, that he killed the guy. I forget exactly why he said, but he killed the guy to take the girl because he wanted to protect the girl. But his whole thing for taking the kids was to protect them from the freaks. But how was he protecting the girl from the freaks from that guy? He wasn't a freak.
How did they come up with years later a Twisty comic with a character that looks exactly like Twisty? Was that, I guess, the Escapees? They just turned it into a comic book series, or how did that happen?
I know. See, it doesn't make any sense. That man, that killer, that man or whatever, from that time, with what little he did, and the fact that it just went away in some little forest in Florida in the 1960s, I don't think would have made this the cultural status that they're trying to present to him in Cult. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, because see, the Twisty for me in Freak Show is
How
more
did they
like,
even know his name was Twisty, though? Wait, sorry.
Exactly.
Texarkana. Isn't it Texarkana, that the town that dreaded sundown? Texarkana? Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I spun out for a second.
Do you guys think that they just
What are
did
you
that
on?
in Cult?
Greg.
Do you guys think they just did that in Cult to just throw in Freak Show?
They did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They did that to throw in Freak Show. Absolutely.
Because, like, it made no sense. Like, did Twisty ever say, "Oh, my name is Twisty"? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
at the time he was probably known at that point, became like a legend.
Oh, they just like started calling him that.
Yeah. And that wasn't his name, or if it was his name, his clown name, he had been known on the circuit and was probably known as Twisty the child molester or whatever, because that's how the freaks ran him out.
Do you guys think that Bet and Dot's children with Jimmy created the comic books from like Jimmy's telling of the story?
That's an interesting theory, and that would make perfect sense as to why we know what we know.
Yeah.
Because it would have to be Bet and Dot or Jimmy, because they were like, well, no, and Desiree, right? They were the only other ones left.
Yeah. Well, also the Escapees that were the little boy, the teenage boy, and then the girl. I guess they could have eventually I guess, told and turned it into a comic book. But it's like,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
they did escape. That's right.
But I would think it would be Jimmy, or at least his children or whatever. Because, like, remember, Jimmy was the guy who saved the town, and you know what I mean? Like, everybody put him in the front line of that story.
Well, and I can't remember who, when they show the Twisty comic, who is in the circles on the side? I know, wasn't it Pepper, Jimmy, and then Bet and Dot?
Yeah, like, who was the fucking author for that? Like,
So I don't think it's the escapees because they never saw Bet and Dot or Pepper.
Yeah.
so it could
But
be
they
Jimmy
did see
and his
Jimmy.
children.
So maybe,
Could be.
maybe their children, they told them the story and maybe their children created it. Or their child or whatever. We don't know what they had.
So I kind of got a cult vibe. Do you guys remember that for the Freak Show, the women gang, and they were like, "We're not going to take any more of this stuff," and they put feathers on. That was so much like Scum. Like, it wasn't even. It was like, whoa, this is like
It
Scum.
was very much Scum. Maybe that there was the origin of Scum.
Who
Could be.
knows?
Could have been. But it's also very, very true. What the hell? It's also very true to like communes and cults like that in back in those days that they really would tar and feather people.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, nobody ever really like came to watch the Freak Show, which it was kind of weird. Okay, like episode 1, it was only like Dandy and his mother, and then like it's just like the rest of the show was like behind the scenes.
Yeah, but that was a big plot point though that nobody came to the show.
That's they
and
talked
they were
about
losing money.
Yeah, that they didn't have the money and everything because nobody was coming to the show, and that's why also bringing people in new people. That's why she brought that in, and then that's why she got I'm a Wiggle because she wanted to bring more people in to the show to make more money. And then as we see eventually, they have a packed house and people come in.
And then that just fades away after they save the town. It just drops. The episode later, like, nobody's there, which is so weird.
Yeah.
And it's also sad because, like, on the Edward Mordrake episode, it's like they're playing, like, by themselves, like, in the middle of night. Like, that's just so sad. Like, nobody's there.
Yeah, that's their income. That's their suffering.
Okay, were there any Coven connections that you guys caught? The only connection I got was they kept calling Maggie a clairvoyant, just like Nan. But was Nan ever really a clairvoyant? Anyways.
Yeah, we already had that whole discussion.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Yeah, because wasn't the fortune teller girl just like basically like one of those grifters that like, yeah, like just looks, oh hey, I see this and this and this, and so here is your story.
Cold reading.
Yeah, thank you, because I could not remember what the fuck that term is.
I got you, girl.
Okay. Did Dell really see the ghost of Ma Petite and Ethel? The question I wrote that down because, okay, like from like episode 2 to like the finale, almost every other episode there was like deaths there, like a lot of death, a lot of darkness. Like, why is that place not haunted? Like, why is those grounds not haunted, but yet the fucking hotel is, Roanoke, it's like the same type of negative energy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why was that place not?
That's true, though. Yeah.
Maybe Ryan will fill the fucking campground that we want him to have in one season. It'll be built in fucking Jupiter, Florida.
There you go. Yeah, because after the massacre, especially, you would have thought that for sure there would have been some kind of like paranormal something there. But even before the massacre, there was quite a few deaths at that camp there.
Yeah.
Pretty
Oh,
much.
yeah.
From the very beginning, starting with the police officer.
Yep.
Now, did the doctor, like, he shot himself, right? Like, Dell didn't
That's
kill
what
him
they
or
said.
anything.
That's what they said. Dell messed up his
That's what they
hand.
said. I couldn't see, like, I watched the scene, I'm like, I cannot see this guy killing himself. Like, he didn't really.
Wait, what
like,
doctor? What are we talking about?
The doctor that was going to operate on Desiree. When Dell went and smashed his hands, if he was going to
Smashed
kick
his hands. Yes. But we didn't see that on screen, but didn't they say at some point that he had killed himself, shot himself?
his daughter, when Ethel
Yes.
and Desiree came back, his daughter told them.
And now
that
that's the daughter that's the daughter that's got the connection with what's her face from Murder House, Vivian from Murder House.
Yeah. Because
It's the same family.
She had family in Florida.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, like, why did we not see? Like, that was just so. I don't know. Like, I mean, he smashed his fingers and he threatened him, but like, I don't know. That was just a little weird. I'm like, why did we not see that scene at least? Like,
did you?
Why do you think that's?
Out?
I mean,
it's so unnecessary.
Well, remember in back in that. Well, even now, is with a surgeon, with a doctor. You know, look at Doctor Strange. They even used that reference with him in the beginning. You smashed the surgeon's hands, you ruined his life.
Right.
And so he's lost his livelihood. He's lost any way to be able to take care of his family. And then back in the 1960s, that would be the breadwinner. That would be who's taking care of this entire generation of a family. So he really had. Huh?
We lost Kitty.
Yeah, we did.
No.
So that would be, you know, and if he had any other issues, which he did, he was obviously skittish, and you know we saw other stuff going on with him. Then that could have just been the blow that took it away from him.
Right. And I think fear was a big part of that too, because
huge.
I mean, if that guy could come in and, break your fingers, I mean, Dell was a strong man. So it wasn't like he just bent his finger back and broke it. I mean, he mangled and disfigured these guys' hands. So, I mean, I'm sure he was terrified that he was going to come back and finish the job or do more.
Yep.
So, I mean, that was fear. And then, like you said, his livelihood was gone. And I'm sure that was a hit to the ego as well.
Yep.
Maybe he started questioning his own mortality at that. And that
I'm sure.
Just kind of drew the line for him there.
And then who knows? I mean, they didn't develop the character anymore to even know what else could have been going on in this man's life.
Right.
I mean, he seems kind of skittish and shady anyway.
Well, he did have a decent office. It wasn't like, some crummy looking office and like some backwoods thing with, dirty utensils or anything. So
and a strong family unit.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Polk family.
Right.
Amen. Yeah, can't wait to talk about the Polks. Wait.
Okay.
Polks are the best.
Here's a asylum connection that I've came up with. So is the whole whore, the blondes, and the cutting the legs off, is that all because of Elsa? That stemmed, like, that's a thing now, like that was one of his fetishes now, and then he did the same thing with Shelley and the monsters and stuff.
Yeah, same doctor, maybe.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but maybe that was a thing with him. Maybe because
Elsa and Shelley were like the same characters, pretty much. Like Shelley and Elsa, they both did like adult, they were both the same type of situation. They both cut the legs off.
Very sexual characters.
Yeah.
Very sexually aware and openly sexually aware.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
obviously
that right there, and not intimidated, but maybe, back to the ego thing, maybe that, because remember Shelley made the comment to him about, his little man. So maybe he was compensating and that was his way. Maybe he had mommy issues or something. And maybe that was his way of compensating, because you saw
also with
how
a woman
he treated the nun or the prostitute that he made dress up as the nun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God. And also with women, but symbolically, sexually for women's the legs and opening the legs and the long legs and sensuality. There's also
Right.
that kind of stuff that he could have been taking that away from them, and also so that they can't do anything anymore. They can't move. They can't go anywhere.
Right.
But that's a good point, Kenny, because I didn't even think about those two characters
Yeah,
together.
I hadn't thought of that either.
They literally received like the same fate. Like
Yeah.
they're like the same character pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, like same thing happened to them by the same person, same lifestyle, same. You know what I mean? Like that was just. I don't know. That's a little weird. Okay, Maggie almost got chained in half by Dandy, only to be actually chained in half by what's his tits? What was his name? I forget.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris, but what was his? I don't know.
My Marjorie. What the hell is his name?
Chester, right? Chester
the molester.
That was so weird. Yeah, that was so weird. Like she almost got cut in half, and then like that actually ended up happening to her.
She should have predicted it, right?
Yes. Right.
Yes, she sure. So it goes along with her character being a fraud as far as a soothsayer or whatever, that she actually predicted her own fate.
Maybe that comes with clairvoyance because Nan didn't predict her own death, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nan couldn't foresee her falling and drowning in the bathtub. Okay. The whole episode 10, I have written down, since when did Briarcliff have a library?
Briarcliff?
Like, why did we never see one in Asylum? Like, that was just...
Because it didn't have anything to do with any of the characters, but they would have a library there.
I think it was like maybe more of like a set type of situation. But that was a little weird.
It was to bring the Elsa Mars moment to Pepper, is why it was there. Because that was the way that she could see the magazines and everything to do. But I also like what they did with that, because basically what it showed with by the time we got to Pepper in Asylum, Pepper was, we talked about this when we did Asylum, but Pepper was really well behaved. She was, would not have run off. She was very, very close to what's her name, and all of those things started right there at that moment when Eunice sat her down and said, "Well, I'm going to give you something constructive to do, and you can care about it. You can have your own little thing, your own. This is your own little world. So let's start separating the magazine." So it was a really good plot point that they used.
Where the fuck was Sister Jude at?
I think it was prior to Jude coming there. I saw this somewhere.
What year was the events of Asylum? Because this was 62 when we got the Pepper flash forward.
Mm-hmm. I had to look it up. But
so what year was Asylum?
Hold on, let me look it up.
Because I didn't really think Mary Eunice was a nun like for that long when Asylum started.
Maybe not.
So I was like,
when she went to the office, that office didn't look occupied by
anybody.
Yeah, so it was probably in between her coming.
So was she? So maybe she was just like a work, like she was just. That was just so weird, though. I was like, at least Dr. Arden should have been the one writing all this stuff down. Like she was checking her in. I'm like, you're just a regular, like you're not the head of the place yet.
But but in psych facilities and nursing facilities, that's exactly how it would have gone. One of the interns or one of the nurses would have actually checked the patient in, and then the doctors and the heads and all that, they see the patient over like a first kind of week period of time. So you don't have to be the head to check anybody in.
No, yeah, the head person wouldn't.
The season starts. Asylum starts in 64.
64.
So this was 2 years before Asylum.
Yes. 2 years. So
it must have been before Jude arrived.
Correct.
No, because Jude was there. When was the whole Christmas incident with what's his name? Let
me see.
But she was there for some time, right?
Let me see.
I just would have thought it would have been Jude checking her in. Like, you know what I mean?
No, not necessarily. It probably really realistically would have been Eunice. Jude Martin. It's not a link for Jude Martin. Okay, hold on. Let's see here. Do it. Horror story.
I look so sad.
Why do you look
Who
so
said?
I'm so sad because I miss my daddy.
Well, Daddy will be home soon.
I miss my grandma.
Well, Grandma's at home. We'll call her in a little bit.
Silent Jude. Let me see here. Let's see if they give us any.
Kylan, who is this?
Bet and Dot.
Okay, here, hold on.
Bet and Dot.
Who's that?
Pepper.
And who is that?
Twisty.
That's my girl.
A+.
I had to get her own Bet and Dot because she kept stealing mine.
Oh, cute. I want the Funko Pop betting up so bad. Yeah,
I do too, but everybody's charging an arm and a leg.
I know, they're so expensive now. Especially the Tate.
I just found a Countess on auction, and the auction's only at $4.50 right now. So I'm like, hey.
I'm not buying none of those. Not for that price.
No, $4.50.
Oh, I thought you meant $450. I'm like, fuck that.
No. I am broke, okay? I told y'all, I just bought the whole Puppet Master DVD set brand new for $7. I shop very thrifty.
Same. Why the fuck did Jimmy keep his lobster hands? It's like that you cut them off. Like, you know what I mean? You're not gonna grow them back. Like, at least have normal fucking hands. You know what I mean?
I think at that point it was just a matter of character and principle for him, because he was willing to give it up so freely because he was willing to give it up to get the money to get out of there. And then he realized what he had done, and then I think he was ashamed of himself. You know what I mean?
Well, going back to all the deaths on the fucking land, like, no, I guess the police didn't care that, I guess they were freaks, so they didn't care what happened to them. But, like, there was just so many deaths on the property, like.
And the police only seemed to care about the police officer.
It didn't say a date for when she was employed there.
So when Pepper died, from whatever it was, whatever she had, pneumonia. Did she go to the Freak Show purgatory, or did she go to Edward Mordred? Like, what happened? What do we think happened with her? Did she go to?
Edward Mordred has to come for you.
Yeah,
he only selects once in 1 year.
To do a Halloween thing too.
Yeah, so she must have went to that little Freak Show purgatory hell.
They have to call Edward Mordred on a Halloween for him to select one. It's not like
because they have to perform on Halloween in order to call him, and then he takes them. Well, if he chooses to take them,
correct.
But I don't know. I think maybe Pepper was more of an innocent soul, because the whole point is that
she was
Pepper was. The whole point from Asylum was that Pepper was wrongfully put there. She had never done anything wrong, and we found that out later through backstory. But
I think
Ma Petite didn't do anything wrong, and she was in the purgatory.
Oh yeah, because Elsa picked her up at the end. Yeah. I don't think it was a purgatory though. I think that was their freak heaven.
Correct. I think that was Elsa's heaven.
Because purgatory is like a stopping ground before you reach your hell.
Yeah, that was a heaven for them. That there wasn't anything sinister or wrong or anything like that. That was the place where they all went to.
So why don't we see Salty and Pepper running around?
The aliens would have taken care of Pepper. Remember, the aliens took special interest in Pepper.
True.
So the aliens would have got her.
That's just so sad, though. I would have thought like she would be with Elsa again and running around and all that stuff. Like, although I thought the aliens only wanted Kit, though. The aliens took special very special interest in Pepper. They made Pepper a straight up like Men in Black protector.
Right,
Exactly.
because they did something to Pepper and they changed her.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I
We
was.
better
We
see
could see.
Pepper again.
We could see Pepper again with the whole thought of aliens maybe coming.
Okay. Penny's dad didn't like call the police. Like, oh, I got fucking attacked by my daughter and a bunch of freaks. Like, he didn't tell
No,
anybody.
no,
His
because
ego? Are you
then what's he
kidding?
gonna say about how he had his daughter tattooed,
And
scarred,
his
disfigured, and attacked?
and his
True.
ego. Do you think that man's ego would have allowed him to say that he got attacked by anybody, especially his
A
own
group,
girl's
a group
daughter?
of freak women,
Freaks. Mm-hmm. No.
a group of women, let alone
Exactly.
freak women, especially because of
Exactly.
the day and age that it was.
Yes.
For him
Never.
to say he was attacked by women, they would have laughed at him. They would have been like, "You're a man. You were attacked by women." They would have laughed at him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
I
guys
mean,
think
that
about
still
this
happens
question? So,
today.
true. Do you guys think if the twins were to have got a separating surgery, would it have been successful? What do you guys think? Just personal, like, what do you guys think?
Wait. What organs did they share, and what organs were they separate again?
It was like they had 3 livers, 2 hearts, 4
Kitty,
lungs or something.
Kitty needs you to connect her again.
Okay.
Yes, it would have been extremely successful.
See, maybe because
been one of the easiest surgeries today.
Think about the time period it was, though.
Yeah.
They didn't have the medical advances that we have now.
If those Siamese twins were born today, they would separate them with each of them holding their own separate internal organs like that. They would separate them immediately. They would have just had to relearn without an arm and a leg. They would have had a prosthetic arm and a leg. Basically, is all they needed, because if they have the heart, lungs, and liver, and their own brain, they're their own person.
Well, in Freak Show, like, they kept acting like it was gonna be like they were gonna amputate like fucking Bet's head off. You know what I mean?
That's their own internal fears.
Well, that was because that was what's his name? What was Dennis O'Hare's character's name?
Stanley.
Because that's what he wanted. Because he wanted that head to put in that jar.
Oh, we need to talk about those things though. That those flashbacks, those visions, those everything.
Right.
That was really handled poorly on the show. We'll get there though. You know?
Yeah.
That's actually my next question.
That's
like,
my one gripe.
That's my next question. Like, that was just so fucked up what they did to Mapati and like all those jars of fucking.
No, that was very real though. That really happened back in
But
the
it was also
days.
a tie into Murder House too, with all those dead little
Yeah.
fetuses and babies and crazy pigs and whatever the heck was in the basement. So that was a
all of it.
But yeah, but they really do. If you ever went to any of those carnivals, any of those freak shows, if they ever had anything real in those things, they were in jars like that.
His daddy's about to.
A lot of it's fake, but a lot of it's some of it's real too. But yeah, but with those jars, with those people, the society, the museum or whatever, I didn't like the way the show. First off, introduced those flash forwards or flashbacks, because once they were introduced, you're like, oh my god, this is going to happen. You're anticipating, waiting for those things to happen as you see the characters progress, and then they didn't happen for some of them. The visions were wrong on other ones, like Bet and Dot and Jimmy, and it was used in like 8 different ways to like keep you on the edge of your seat, but all it did was confuse the characters.
Well, I think it was it was explained that it was Stanley's imagination or whatever. It was
but
his.
some of them were real. Like,
well, yeah, the real part was the Mapati in the hands, and
it's like they didn't do any separation of the visions from Stanley's imagination to actual flash forward visions. I just think it was handled poorly. It was a good technique to use to be like, oh my god, what's going to happen to these characters? But they used it so frequently, and it was so different for each character. There's like, okay, wait, who's thinking this? And is this one of the ones that's going to be true? And the pink cupcakes one was the worst one handled, because you really thought that pink cupcakes one was really how it was going down, and then
Yeah.
it didn't.
Yeah.
By the time it was really confusing.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that.
Yeah.
It was very confusing, the whole pink cupcakes thing.
Yeah, it took me a couple of rewatches to figure out each and every one and how it all went down. But to a casual viewer, it's like, what the hell's going on? They could have done it one time when they did the
Yay,
flash forward.
kitty.
What was the first one that they did? Was it with Salty or Mon Petit? Was the first time we saw one of those visions?
Oh,
It was the twins' heads. The twins.
The twins. The twins' heads.
Do you mean like a fake, like or the real deal? Like
just the first vision.
The first time we saw the twins' heads.
Okay. See, even that was handled wrong because that didn't happen. If they
and then we saw Seal Boy. What was his name? Paul.
Yes, Paul. Seeing that didn't happen either. So if they would have showed us one like Mon Petit or Pepper or Salty, and then went into like all the other weird ones, then it would have kept you on the edge of your seat because if one of them was real, one of them really happened. But to have like all these weird, unrealistic or futures that didn't happen to these people, it just why it was just I don't know, didn't make any sense to me when I first saw it. It makes sense to me now. I understand how they did it, things, but upon first viewing, it was just really confusing.
Right.
Now I know we don't want to talk about this season, but were there any hints to apocalypse in Freak Show?
Apocalypse? No, I wouldn't see because like I said before, the odds and the evens are on two different kind of tracks. I think we'd see more Asylum and more cult kind of links than anything on Freak Show.
Yeah, I think those were the only two really were.
With those glass jars and stuff, that's a murder house link.
It's just a visual kind of link, yeah. But I don't think it's a story. It's not a plot link. It's just kind of a visual link because the things that Montgomery's were putting in the jars really was not anything to do with connection to the Freak Show. And also you had the jars in hotel as well. So same kind of thing.
I can't think of a Coven connection in Freak Show.
I don't think
you can't. I don't think there was one. Yeah, I think it's just Asylum and Cult were really the plot kind of connections that
Roanoke was the break of the odds and evens.
Yeah, Roanoke was the first one that did that. Yeah, I think Roanoke is the bridge that brings the two tracks together.
And I think that's because they wanted Roanoke to be rooted in that whole reality thing.
Yeah.
So it made us feel like that was real, whereas these other ones were stories we were watching. But now it took us into our, American love of reality television. So it's like we're living it with them. So it was real. It was really happening, that kind of thing.
So, I mean, I guess this is not really a question, but it's like they made it look like they can't go out and have normal lives. Correct. But at the end of the show, Jimmy and Bette and Dot, like they're living at a normal house. They're pregnant. They're living with Jimmy. Desiree has children with what's his name, and it's like, do they all live happily ever after? Like, why did they just do that day one?
But look at the two characters we're talking about. We leave Bette and Dot out of it for a second. You got Jimmy, who can function normally in society, and he's taking care of Bette and Dot. And Desiree,
well, no, because he still has his wooden hands, lobster hands.
But he's got wooden hands now. He's an amputee now, and not a freak. Not like Lobster Boy hands. He's got amputated hands. Well, but he also, when he had the lobster claws.
Not to mention, I guarantee you, the people still hadn't forgotten that Jimmy had saved the kids. So Jimmy was still a hero.
And Desiree could function normally in society. Because remember, Desiree's a normal woman.
We still don't know. Desiree might have went and gotten the surgery later from someone else.
Correct. She's a normal woman.
Because she knew that she could get it done then. She knew then that she wasn't really a so-called freak. She was, but she wasn't. It was fixable. So we don't know if she went and got it fixed or not.
I think the best point that you made there for Jimmy and Bette and Dot especially is Jimmy was a town hero.
Right.
And he absolutely was loved and very, very respected in that town.
And so I think the whole town kind of looked at the freaks a little differently in general after that. They seem to kind of, I mean, maybe they didn't flock to the show every time because once you've seen it, you've seen it. But they seem to not necessarily isolate them and look at them as such quote unquote freaks at that
Correct.
point. They were a little bit more equal,
And
not quite equal, but a little bit more.
Yes, and I would imagine that's where they're living, is right in that town where they can function normally, where she can go to the doctors and have a baby, you know, where all that can happen. Because like if they just turned around and they went down to like Tallahassee or something, I don't think it would be the same thing. I don't think they would function normally.
Then again, we still don't know. We really don't know if they were, because we don't see the outside of the house.
Correct.
We don't see the neighborhood or anything. We just see them inside the house. For all we know, they're living in a cabin in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah, correct.
They might have that one doctor who's willing to help them, who comes to the house, or they're able to go, you know, later to visits at his office or something.
Or who knows, with what happened after the freak show and what after Dandy was caught and all that crap happened, they could have become heroes of the town. They could have become like local celebrities in the town supporting them.
Right.
And
I want to know what the hell they had. I want to know what they had, what it looked like, if it was more than one, if it had multiple limbs, what kind of limbs. I want to know.
It's not genetic, though.
That is the big unanswered question from Freak Show. I don't care what anybody says. The biggest unanswered question from Freak Show is, what the hell does that baby look like?
But it's not genetic. Those type of things are not genetic, from what I understand. It's just
that's not true. That's not true.
Really?
Because Lobster Boy was based off of Brady Styles, who his whole family was genetically given that the lobster claws, except for I think like one of his kids.
Yeah, the lobster claws. Yeah, you're talking about that. That's a good point. I was talking about the conjoined, the conjoined twins. I don't think that's genetic.
But with it being American Horror Story, we don't know what they would do with that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
For all we know, it would come out with, you know, one head, but two noses and one lobster claw.
I have an odd, like, gut feeling. Like, something tells me, like, do you guys remember all the scenes with the twins in Chester when they were, you know, doing it and stuff? Like,
yeah,
it's odd because we never saw Jimmy and the twins do anything. So is it like
Jimmy and the twins would have done stuff after, and we don't know how long after that was and how old the baby is.
We don't know the timeline, but he brings up a good point.
Oh, it could be Chester, sure.
We don't know the timeline, and they didn't. I'm sure they didn't do paternity tests back then just freely. You know what I mean? And I'm sure
I would be pissed.
They just assumed that it was Jimmy's. They're like, "Oh, Jimmy, we're with you. We're pregnant." You know, but it very well could be Chester, the crazy motherfucker. It could be his baby.
Did they do anything with Dandy?
No, I don't think so. Because they kind of despised him. Well,
Dot
didn't, but not at first, right? Dot didn't.
Did they actually sign the dot and marry Dandy?
Yes. They married.
They married Dandy. And that's where that leaves me with unanswered questions that theory-wise, because that means that Bet and Dot, when Dandy died, they were married to him. Now, his mother was already dead. So that means that Bet and Dot are the sole heirs to the Mott fortune.
Yes.
Which means that...
No, only one of them. Dot.
Dot,
right.
Right.
So Dot is the heir.
Dot is the heir to the Mott fortune.
Jimmy
Dot Mott.
married
That's
Bet,
ridiculous.
right? Was it confirmed that Jimmy married Bet? Or did he say he was just with the two of them?
He was with the two of them.
Okay, so so Dot may still be married to Dandy as of this point.
Right.
A widow.
But now with her being the sole heir to the Mott fortune, we know that Felipe or what's his name, Mott owned and created the Roanoke house. So that means that she inherited the Roanoke house.
And at some point, it ended up being sold to the
connection right there, because the Mott.
Yeah, and then at some point, though, like, well, remember, because the two nurses, they owned that house. I don't know what time period that was, the 70s.
But when
And
Shelby
then it was
them
the
went to go get
Chin
it,
family.
yeah, when Shelby and them went to go get it, it was auctioned off by the town. So the town took possession of that house.
Right, which doesn't make sense to me because there was an heir. So maybe they didn't know about the marriage. So maybe that'll come up later that there's
Or they knew about the
actually
house and they went there and then they ended up selling it for some reason.
It's not.
that could be too. They sold it to
Yeah.
sold it to the city.
Kenny makes a good point. When were the Chins in that house, and when were the nurses in that house? Because they had bought it as well.
The nurses, I think, was the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the Chin family was the late 70s or early 80s.
So yeah,
I
because you're right.
think
Because
the
Bet Dutt
Chins
would
were
have had it in the
after the
60s.
nurses.
Yeah.
So it was sometime
And Freak
before
Show
the
ended in the
nurses.
60s. So
Correct.
for that 10 some odd years, it was, I guess, the twins.
Dots. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
their
Dots.
property.
Mhm.
Did they just, I don't know, like
It makes you
that's.
wonder if they knew about it and if they did anything
Yeah.
about it, if
If
they
they-
ever went there.
If they didn't know, if the town or anybody that was associated to the Roanoke House had no idea about Dandy or about any other living heir, the bank would have just defaulted it, that to the town or to whatever. And because it was on land that was historic land or whatever, with the whole first colony, the town would have ended up owning it. So that's probably how it happened.
Right. Well, and with it being abandoned for so long.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If a
Yep.
house is abandoned for so long and then the taxes aren't paid on it, the city automatically
Correct.
takes possession after taxes aren't
Yeah.
paid.
Yeah. But it would
So
be
if
neat
they
to see
did
if they
know
went to
about
go
it, they
visit the
would have been
Roanoke
paying
House.
taxes on it.
That would be a cool little season or cool back scene if Dot and Jimmy go and visit the Roanoke House. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, fuck this mess.
Right. That'd be pretty cool.
Mhm.
Show up
Yeah,
on
just
the
I
moon.
guess that so long as it wasn't on the blood moon night, then they would be safe.
Show up on a blood moon, see
Mhm.
the freaks battle the ghosts.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I wonder who would win.
Well, even
Yeah.
if the freaks got killed, like they would go to their freak place, whatever.
Not necessarily because they're on that gateway. They're on that
If
gateway.
the blood moon fell on Halloween.
Remember the murder house. Remember the murder house, the Roanoke House, and hotel are on those portals, those gateways. That's what Ryan explained saying before. So those are very, very different than just a haunted house or whatever. They're portals to hell. So if they died there, we don't know. We don't know if they'd go to the little freak heaven.
That's
Well, yeah, Queenie. When Queenie died at the hotel, she was stuck there. She didn't go to the chicken shack.
Correct. That's right.
What do you guys think about this theory? It says Elsa pretty much sold her soul to get all that fame. She got the last however many years, and they acted as if the theory pretty much was like I couldn't find it, but it was like basically when she sold Dandy the freaks, she was selling her soul to get the fame, and by doing that, she sacrificed the freaks.
Yeah, in a way. I don't know if it was selling her soul. It was selling them out.
She sold
them.
Remember,
making a deal.
Remember, Elsa created that family. She took them out of whatever house, home, holding they were at, brought them together, gave them this whole misconception that they were loved, they were cared for, and then once they were together, they created their own family together, but they had no ways of supporting themselves. And so when Elsa sold them or sold the show,
she took advantage of the
did sell them
situation.
out. Correct.
She
sold them
really
out.
did because
But I
she
don't know if that's
knew
selling
they had
her
nowhere
soul.
else to go. She knew they had nothing else and that they needed someone to be able to take care of them. So she did. She sold them out, man, and she took advantage.
So that
of
was kind of like her making a deal with the devil, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, look at Dandy. He was very devilish, very demonic in a way. I mean, look at the guy.
Yeah, and I think she lost her soul a whole ass long time ago before she even started the freak show. Like she wanted to get her last fucking glory out of having everybody come and listen to her sing, but see her freaks. Like she was getting her last fucking hurrah.
I think she lost her soul before she lost her legs. If
No
you look
shit.
if you look back at how she was living her life, the way she was doing things, how it progressed to more and more like just pushier, edgier behaviors and more, just troublesome things. It seems like she kind of sold her soul in a way a long time ago. So she
Yeah,
kind of
because
gave
One
up
thing
morality a long time ago.
but
one
it's
thing I
also
can
funny because
verify.
like she sold her soul, and it's like at the end, even what's her name? Elsa said like stars never pay. So when Elsa was like, "Why don't I have to pay for what I've done?" And Ethel was like, "Well, stars never pay." So it's like she did all what she did, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like
because
even in the afterlife, she doesn't pay for what she's did.
Oh no. Of course not.
She got off
I
scot free.
still don't like the way, I mean, I love Freak Show. Don't get me wrong. I really, really do. But I don't like the fact of the way they ended it. I know a lot of people do that. Oh, it was wrapped up nicely and Elsa got to be with the freaks. I don't think it should have ended that way. I
I
think
don't either.
Elsa sold them out left and right. She killed them off left and right. She continuously, literally sold them, not to mention, just like pushing them under the bus. Like, I don't think she deserved to live happily ever after with her freaks and for them to kind of, basically forgive her and say, it's okay, we understand. Like, maybe that's my own bitterness. And maybe once you pass, look, I'd like to really believe that once you pass, you let go of the bitterness and you let go of the negativity you hold on to. But at the same time, it's like that wasn't really fair for it to just be like, oh, it's all okay now. You killed us. You sold us out. It's fine. We're all a
But
family
maybe,
again.
well,
right,
maybe
because she
that's
lived a
what the show may have been trying to tell us at the end is that maybe because the Freak Show is very, very much about the family, about the connection. People were able to come together just for their purity of their heart. And maybe the show was trying to tell us, in the end, when it was all said and done, that love, that bond with all of those people was more important than anything else. Anybody's sins or anybody's deeds, that love was strong
Mhm.
enough to hold them all together.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I think. And that's why I do like it. I don't, because the bitter part of me is saying, no, don't forgive her. But at the same time, I understand because I'm like, I want to believe that when we go, we can let go of the negativity. We can let go of the bitterness. We can say, we can, let go. We can forgive. We can move on. And even if you don't
Um.
forgive, you can forget.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What is that?
Kitty, try to say something.
what?
Okay, Michael, try to say something.
Kitty, are you running water?
I can't hear Michael. His thing has like the muted
It
thing on
says,
it.
yeah, like I accidentally like muted him. How do I unmute him?
He can unmute himself. I had to.
God
Michael,
damn
if
it.
you can hear us, tap your screen and make your little tap your microphone thing.
Why? Oh, what the fuck? Like it's not letting me.
There you go.
He should be fine.
Okay.
Oh, there he went.
How's that? You hear it?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
That goddamn Google Hangouts. Anyways, I completely lost my train of thought.
I think
Amazon
basically.
Eve.
Oh yeah.
What the
Okay.
fuck did we
Love
not
her.
get an Amazon Eve backstory? Like she was like the unsung hero of like Freak Show.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
She was die hard.
really
Like she was loyal.
story.
I think for a couple of reasons. Number one is we got the backstory. I mean, besides Kathy Bates, we got the backstories on these characters where they actually hired real freaks to do it. Gave them a moment because they were all kind of somewhat a line of truth in their real life. I don't know if you guys have watched the documentaries on each one of those actors that came and performed, but there is a semblance of a line of reality of their own real life in those backstories, and I think Ryan gave each one of them a moment to shine, with their own horrors of their own real life backstories. So I think that's why those characters, Paul and what's her face, were selected to do those backstories because they went through hell. Those two actors and Ma Petite as well. So I think it was more for the
Yeah.
actor than it was just the backstory.
And if anybody hasn't seen the original that they based it off of, Freaks, definitely
Freaks,
check that out because it's a good watch and it's really worth it.
I own Freaks. It is such a great movie.
It is a great movie. Great movie.
Mm-hmm.
The classic.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, it's not in here. It's in the other room. But yeah. Gooba Gaba. Such a great movie. Great movie. Yeah, and they used a lot of the storyline plot points from Freaks right in Freak Show.
Yeah,
the whole
they
hunting
did.
at the end when they were hunting them and crawling underneath the thing. That's exactly Freaks ending.
You can freeze frame a lot of stuff and you can see where it's almost identical shot for shot.
He absolutely tributed Freaks.
I love the homage to Freaks the way he did it. He definitely did it justice. And I think that's why a lot of people have a bone to pick with Freak Show, and it's not a lot of people like it, or it's their least favorite because people think it was too slow. But they had to build character stories, and that's what it was about. That's what Freaks was about, was telling you about freaks.
Exactly. Freak slow movie into that absolutely horrifying, haunting end. And that's what Ryan Murphy did. He was like, because that's why I love Freak Show so much. Freak Show is about each and every one of those characters and their lives and their interconnections to each other. Like I said, the whole theme of the thing was about the family, about what they meant to each other. You couldn't tell this big old huge drama, explosion, cut them up things, and really get to the root of each one of those characters.
Right.
It's truly a character study on humanity. Freak Show was.
Yes, it was.
And it was the only season they've done that.
It was a fucking shout out to Murder House when Dandy shot up the whole place.
Shout out to Murder House.
Yeah, when Tate shot up the school.
Oh, Tate, yeah. Oh, made Freak Show that was handled so well. That was shot so well.
I told you I started at 7. Usually go for
where did it go? What did you guys think of the musical numbers?
It's fun. I liked how they sang. It was those actors. I like that Sarah got to sing, that Evan got to sing. Evan's song was great. I think it was a little, for me, it worked out just fine. I had no problem with it, but I think other viewers had problems with the fact that they were using modern music in that time frame. It was definitely a choice. It was an artistic choice because it was about the lyrics of the song and the story versus the actual accuracy of the time period. Love the performances. I love it. I actually have that soundtrack on my phone.
Okay. Why was Dell not in the Freak Show Purgatory?
Dell wasn't part of that family.
They brought all the seasons.
Dell was not a member of that family.
I don't think he was as ingrained in the family as everybody else. I think if you notice throughout, he kind of isolated himself.
Well, we could say the same thing for Lobster Girl, Penny.
Penny was part of that family, though. She was with Paul. She was in love with Paul. They bonded with Penny. Penny became part of the girls' club. They bonded over her father. Penny was definitely part of the family.
Yeah, I agree.
So it was just like a family,
yeah, it's about the family. That's what the whole show is about. It's about that commune, about that family.
And I think Dell definitely. See, I don't know, because Elsa was like the mother, so I think that's why they forgave her.
Well, yeah.
Dell killed Ma Petite, and I think that was that cemented him as not being part of the family.
Right.
Because Ma Petite,
fucking Elsa killed Ethel.
Ma Petite was the most innocent of them all.
In my brain, I would like to think that Ethel was a mercy killing.
Exactly. Ethel's killing was very different than just a slaughter, just a murder. There was a lot of complicated issues that went behind Ethel's killing. A lot.
Well,
Ethel was getting ready to kill. They loved each other dearly, and You know,
Right.
you followed both of their journeys together. You can dissect that murder a lot because we're first as almost a mercy killing to get rid of Elsa. And so it's either you or me. One of us is going to go tonight. And they both knew it. They both knew it from each other.
Right, because they were both ready to take each other out.
Correct. Very
And how
complicated
I've
relationship.
been there with my own best friend. I mean, I wouldn't kill her, but you know,
Yeah.
you're just like,
Extremely complicated relationship.
I'm like, this is it.
Because
I'm done.
Elsa knew she was not walking out of that room alive that night. And Elsa's selfishness also knew that she had to do whatever it took to walk out of that room that night. But they both knew when they locked eyes that night, when Ethel came in there, only one of them was walking out of that room.
Right.
There's something weird about Jessica Lange's characters, like all of them. Like Constance wanted to be an actress, but never became an actress. Sister Jude wanted to be a fucking, what was she? Wanted to be a singer.
Lounge singer.
Never became one. Fiona wanted to stay young forever. Never got that.
But even Fiona talked about having dreams of like some type of celebrity and not being able to fulfill those because of a man.
I think a lot of that is Jessica Lange. It's what Ryan likes of Jessica Lange, what Ryan likes writing for Jessica Lange, because she plays it so beautifully, that broken woman, that woman in urns. So I think it's not coincidence. I think it's very, very, very purposely for that actress.
Not coincidence. I'm telling you guys, I've told you my theory. My theory is that we're going back to like Murder House or even before, and like each one of these people is a real person. Like each actor is a real person, and they're in their own like 9 circles of hell where they have to play each one of these characters and they have to live these lives over and over again. And they have to
That'd be
not
awesome.
be able to fulfill their dreams and not have what they want out of life or not get what they want or what they did have or something.
Yeah,
like
because even Elsa, like, granted, she got some fame, but she was denied
she
her.
wanted.
It was not what she wanted, and it was because of those tapes which that's another thing. How did those fucking tapes resurface? Anyways.
That would be very interesting.
With the internet and everything else.
Yeah, Melinda, you make a very good point on that note. To go through Sarah Paulson's, Evan Peters, maybe even Kathy Bates, some of the regulars, go through their characters and see what commonality each of their own characters have to find out. Like Elsa's or Jessica Lange's is very obvious about the broken woman, the woman in need, but Evan's characters are so different. There may be a common thread
because she has only a few of them.
Yeah, Evan and Sarah would be a little bit more difficult to dissect, but there may be something there.
I'm telling you, I think that's what it's going to come down to, is something about them all being all combined as like the one person, but they have to relive all of this torture, but it's all psychological torture. Because think about it, you can torture the body all you want as long as you can shut your mind off. You can get out of that.
Yep,
but if
torture the soul
inside your head, you can't get out of that.
Yep, torture the soul.
Okay, I've got 2 things. Like, so if everybody is basically living their own 9 circles of hell, how does Naomi Grossman's characters, like, because, I mean, she's Pepper, she's also a fucking cardinal in the fucking Church of Satan. I mean, and they're not small, like, roles for her either, because, like...
Well, hers are very polar opposite.
Yeah.
So what if there's something where she's some type of like angel or archangel or some type of like maybe even demon or something, but maybe she's a bringer of souls. Like she brings them to this 9 circles, you know?
What if her reality person was extreme bipolar and had 2 different very, very sides to her?
Because that could be the thing too. What if we find out at the very end that each one of these persons, their 9 circles of hell is psychological, but what if they really are somewhere like a Briarcliff or something, and they're all locked up and they're all just living all of this in their head?
Yeah, it could be. That'd be really cool.
That would be very Wes Craven-ish to me.
That would be very
Right.
cool. But the problem with that is to execute something like that with people like us sitting out here. That mess would be dissected to death.
Oh God,
They would
yeah.
have to really pull it off. And the way they pull Apocalypse off, I don't know if they could do it because we'll get to Apocalypse, but
I think because
them
they'll
trying to answer all these.
do too much fan service instead of answering the questions.
That's why I kind of wish now, after seeing Apocalypse, that they really would have just stuck with the anthology.
It was
left
kind of like,
alone.
we're going to throw in this stuff, but oh, wait, we're going to distract everybody because we're throwing in this character that you guys missed. So don't ask questions about what just happened. You're going to divert your attention to this character that just threw in out of nowhere. It was kind of like that type of situation.
I think this series would have stood the test of time and just been absolutely phenomenal if it just stuck anthology. Every single season, just great, no connections. Then Brian wouldn't have to focus on anything.
But then everybody would be clamoring and complaining and saying, "We should connect these. We should find a way to connect them."
Of course they would. Of course they would. But there's, back in the days of the Twilight Zone, it was just so great to just have an individual just kind of package deal. And then you can pick your favorite seasons. You can talk about the different acting challenges that people had and the different characters. But here we are. We just suffered through Apocalypse and move on.
Something is telling me there's going to be a huge Asylum connection.
It's the second best.
And like a huge Alien connection. Like, I just have not put the pieces together. Like, because we know that, like, Kit's body, like there was never a body. Like, he just got snatched up.
Right.
And, like, Grace did say time works differently there. So, like, I feel like we're going to see him again. And I feel like with what we know from Apocalypse with the Mutt and whatever the fuck their name was.
Mutt and Jeff.
I feel like since the world didn't end, that their organization or corporation or whatever would still continue to thrive. So I feel like it's going to be like they have potential for like a very futuristic season, like robots and stuff. Because if the apocalypse didn't happen, then their company, they would still be up and running and continuing to do all these new projects and stuff. You know what I mean? So that kind of leaves the door open for a futuristic season.
Well, here's what I worry.
I would like to hope that Venable would have stabbed them both in the fucking throat.
Same.
Venable, when they got to Mutt and Jeff's story, Venable was a weak woman until she got into that outpost. But anyway, what I worry about is with the most recent announcement with them saying that there's going to be many more seasons of American Horror Story. They're on board for the long haul. It's like, if there's no end in sight now, good Lord, what are they going to do?
Long haul. What the fuck was 10 seasons? The short haul?
Exactly. And how much more can they beat this into the ground if they're just going to go on indefinitely? It's like, if they have a plan.
It's going to be like Apocalypse. It's going to be us talking now and then flash forward to fucking 8 years later. Like, we're on season fucking like, whatever the fuck. It's like
American Horror Story super fans.
Season 16, yeah. And we're going to be saying 8 years later. Do you guys remember 8 years ago when we were sitting here talking about Freak Show? And we were like,
what they need to do is if they are indeed going to go 11, 12, 15, 18, whatever season, they need to end the story that they wanted to end with season 10. Just be done with it. Make all the connections you're going to do. And then at season 11, be an American Horror Story New Start, American Horror Story Track 2, or whatever you want to call it.
But but they won't do that. They won't do
that. Here's my concern, though. Because Apocalypse, I feel like, had there been more episodes or less filler episodes and filler moments, like episode 8 was a complete disregard, and then I feel like we can work with 10 episodes. But if we're going to throw in filler moments and filler episodes and stuff, then I'm sorry, it has to be 13.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely. I totally agree with you.
It should be 13 anyway.
Right, like, I don't understand how that's pushing it. Like, there are shows out there, like
This
Fucking shows I watch have 22 episodes. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like 22
remember-
episodes. And Ryan's bitching about 13. Like, get out of here.
But remember, every year a show goes on and continues on. The networks start looking at their budget and timing. There's a lot of network shows that have originally have like 22, 23 episodes, and by the time they get into like their 6th or 7th season, they're down to like 13 episodes, or they're down to like a half season. So it wears down. But I don't think that's the case with this show. I think that's Ryan making those decisions when he starts the season. And for some reason, they have it in their head that's what we're going to sit down. We're going to do 10, then we're going to do 12, we're going to do 13, whatever it is. And when he did Apocalypse, I don't think they had a master plan when they got into the back half of the season. I think the writers were just throwing whatever was sticking to the wall. I think they wanted to do something to the fans, give them some fan service, and when they wrote around fan service, they didn't write around the plot. And
I'm going to say this until I die. Fucking, I strongly believe that they had an idea of Radioactive being a season.
Yes.
They wrote 3 episodes.
Yes.
And then they
People
were
have been
like,
talking about that a lot. That there was
well, they wrote 2
season.
episodes, and then they're like, okay, well, we can't get them to do the crossover next year because everybody's schedules. We got to do it this year. It's got to be this year. It's got to be this year. So they didn't have enough time to go ahead and rewrite episodes from scratch. So they ended up tying it all in, like with what they had already wrote. Because,
It's
like, if
very
you think
plausible.
about it, the first 3 episodes, that's like a completely different season
Totally different.
from the rest.
Different look, different feel, different character. I mean, look at Venom.
And it's not even like Roanoke. Like, it's past that. It's like completely different.
Just take Venable. Just take Venable herself and look at her character in those first 3 episodes and her character there in the Mutt and Jeff thing. It's 2 different characters. It's completely written differently.
I wouldn't even call the season fan service because none of it happened.
Yeah, no
It was
shit.
it was like they gave us a sweet, you know, it didn't make sense, but it's like I could work with it. And then they just took it away.
Then they're like, haha.
Right.
The thing pissed me off.
It's kind of like
Well, it's like
X-Men.
they
Like, why would they fuck with the timeline?
Thing.
Well, the first thing
Moira?
that was wrong. The first thing that was wrong about the whole thing was they blew up the freaking world, and they made it say that it was a real deal. The apocalypse happened. We dropped the nukes. The world is decimated. And once you do that in a series where you're continuing storylines, what the fuck are you going to do? You just killed everything. So then they're saying, well, how do we course correct this? And the reason they came up to course correct was a slap in the face. It was just like, okay, everything you just watched just didn't happen. So that was kind of they could have come up with a different reason or a different way to course correct.
And I called
like the
that
apocalypse
when
not being real.
said in episode fucking 5, she said, "Why do I feel like this isn't happening?"
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
But it's like they put in all this mystery right there in episode 1 that they could have gone a million different directions with, like with the plane, with no pilots in the plane. And what are we doing? It's like they could have gone into this whole different mythology with it, but instead they just didn't answer that, and they just said, okay, everything just didn't happen.
Well, it's stupid because here's why I thought that they were going to end the show with 10 seasons, because we saw at the end that there was another Antichrist born, so it makes it look like their world's going to end eventually. So it's like, well, we can't really have any futuristic seasons. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, the show's got to end now because it looks like it's going to end. So why did they even do that? Like, that's just so stupid.
Yeah, I think they really shot themselves in the foot with that Timothy and Emily thing at the end.
Because it's not going to make sense if we have a season that's in 2105. It's going to be like, okay, well, what the fuck happened with what's his tits 100 years ago?
I am willing to bet anything that I own that we will never see Timothy and Emily again. That will never be answered.
So, I mean, I guess that child is going to maybe get exploded by Mallory, hopefully, I guess.
Who knows? I bet you they will never, ever touch it.
Okay, I think I'm done with Freak Show, but I gotta say, I used to like. Not that I didn't like Freak Show. I thought it was really slow, but when I rewatched it, like it was actually really good.
So I tell you, the more you rewatch Freak Show, the better it gets. The more you start to really understand those characters. And for anybody, if you've not seen those documentaries on each one of those actors, I really suggest watching them, because once you know the real people behind those actors, it endears you to Freak Show so much more.
And
All I gotta say,
when you rewatch it, you're looking for things, and when you get to watch it, like binge it,
Yeah.
versus waiting every week for an
Oh, yeah.
episode, because then it seems so much slower because you're waiting and waiting, and then the episode seems slow.
All I gotta say is, you guys, for next week for Hotel, we're gonna have to talk about Apocalypse, and we're gonna have to do this bitching again, because Apocalypse fucked with Hotel
badly.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun doing that.
Apocalypse ruined Hotel. Apocalypse absolutely ruined the storyline of Hotel.
Yeah.
Should be a fun one.
Thank you.
I need to rewatch.
What was the reason for Jessica Lange leaving AHS again? Just so
She
we
was
can.
retiring.
She
She was retiring.
She initially.
Oh, that's the biggest crock of shit I ever heard.
Well, Ryan Murphy talked her out of retirement. She said.
For
So why did she return to AHS? Why did she return? Why did she do Feud? Like, I'm not saying that it wasn't a good show, but at least do a show where you know you're gonna stick around and you're gonna make money off of it. It's not gonna get canceled.
Jessica has said many times in interviews that at this stage in her acting career, it's about the role now. It's about the challenge. It's about something that she really connects with.
What the fuck was the challenge with Constance in the show for 5 minutes? Like,
well,
an Apocalypse.
That was a favor to Ryan to come back to do that. But as far as these actors who have extraordinary careers and long-term careers, they don't want to be on a long-time running show. They want to be able to take 2 or 3 years off and go do a movie project or go do a play. And Jessica's done a lot of different things in her life. She'll go do Broadway, or she'll go
do a really long night.
Yeah,
beautiful.
And so she probably got sick of every year the same schedule and going in and doing something. And she's got that standing in her career. She can call the shots. She can do whatever. But then Ryan tempted her with, Feud.
What he needs to do is tempt her with season fucking 9 through whatever. That's what he needs to tempt her with.
Well, supposedly there's been little hints dropped that there's a good possibility she'll be back next season.
But she may have really enjoyed coming back. She may have
either her or Lady Gaga. I can't see Lady Gaga returning.
I don't think you're going to see Lady Gaga for a while. She's blowing up right now.
She is huge right now. She's
blowing up
right Oscar. She's not coming back.
Nope. She's working on that EGOT.
Right.
Yep, she sure is. And the fact that there was problems on Roanoke, that she was really dissatisfied when she left Roanoke. And
wait, what happened with her with Roanoke?
There was something that I haven't read the full story. I've only kind of heard bits and pieces, but there was something about somebody on the production team or the production team in general, Lady Gaga didn't get along with, and it got worse before it got any better. I'd have to look up the story. We talk about it when we get to Roanoke.
If Ryan asked her, she would. She adores Ryan.
I think she would,
but it would have to fit in her schedule.
It would have to.
I mean, let's be real here. If it wasn't for Ryan giving her that chance and getting her a Golden Globe to prove that she can act, I don't think she would have got this role for A Star Is Born.
Probably not, but at the same time, she is so incredibly, just absolutely, she's got her career in her hands. She knows exactly who she is and what she wants. She would have figured something out eventually. As far as her career was going to blow up at some point eventually. But we were right with the acting part. That was Ryan.
Phenomenally talented woman.
Oh, she knows how to market herself. She knows how to brand. She knows, it's all about connections. And Ryan did give her a job.
Like 32 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck Lady Gaga and fuck Jessica Lange. Like, what about Frances? Like, I hope she's back. What's her
Frances
reason?
will come back.
Frances will
Absolutely.
be back. That's a given.
She'll be back. She'll be back. Absolutely, she'll be back.
Frances will be.
Just-
You don't have to worry about Frances. You'd have to worry about Evan Peters before you worry about Frances.
Exactly. And Evan Peters would only not come back because of just the exhaustion and the emotional wear that it's wearing on him. It's not any other reason.
And that's
Evan
why
loves doing it.
And that's why Ryan gave him such a lax role for Apocalypse, because Colt just took too much out of him.
Yeah. But if this show goes on indefinitely, you're not going to see these people anymore. These people are going to move on with their lives. They're going to move on with their careers. You know, you're not going to see fucking Evan Peters doing some major life-carrying role in season 18 of American Horror Story. It's just not going to happen.
No,
I can't see Evan staying for long.
Maybe a cameo.
Yeah.
Correct.
I can see Sarah staying for another
main starring role.
See,
I can see Sarah staying for a while.
I don't know with Sarah because
Sarah's blowing up now too.
Sarah is blowing up, and that's the thing. Sarah now is finally getting the respect.
Get more behind the camera.
Yes, she's starting to get the respect in Hollywood that she fought for a long time for. And
yeah,
she's finally getting that now. And I don't know if American Horror Story, carrying a lead role in American Horror Story every single season, is in her wheelhouse anymore. And if American Horror Story doesn't have Sarah Paulson, it's not American Horror Story.
The thing is that these people will stay loyal and true to Ryan because he started their careers.
Correct. But if Ryan passes the show on to...
They're not going to, like you said, they're not going to full on stay for, season 16, 17, 18. Now they might have cameos. They might pop in here and there. They might direct an episode.
I can see Sarah having Billy Dean roles in the future. Just 3 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Or like maybe even Sally roles. Like she's there, but she's not there.
This show, I'm telling you right now, this show, by the time season 11, season 12 comes around, this show is going to be given to a different showrunner. I promise you. Whatever Ryan's saying, it's not going to happen. He's got that whole huge Netflix deal now, or his multi-million-dollar Netflix deal. He's going to pass American Horror Story on to somebody else.
I don't think he will.
Oh, I do.
I don't think he will.
Oh, especially because it's not part of the Netflix deal.
That's his baby. He's already said that's his baby. If he goes, it's going with him.
It may go with him, but if it goes with him, then I don't know what the contracts are with FX and all that. And remember, FX is going to Disney now, and so there's a whole big old deal with what is Bob Iger going to do with FX?
What the fuck doesn't Disney own now?
Yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge, and Disney can absolutely decide a year from now that they're going to completely destroy, revamp, do whatever the fuck they want with FX, because the deal is done. The deal was officially done yesterday. Brazil finally came through with the Disney deal. They're done. It's in the works. As of March 1st, Disney owns all Fox properties. So tomorrow they could come out and say FX is no more. We're getting rid of FX tomorrow. They're saying right now
we'll just go to Netflix.
He has Netflix to fall back on.
So does that make Misty Day a Disney princess now?
Does what? Does that make who?
I said, does that make Misty Day a Disney princess?
Could be, yes.
Yes.
It's my favorite Disney princess now.
Well, all I heard as far as Fox branded stuff and Disney is I heard that because now Disney owns Hulu, that Disney is planning on putting all of its adult rated type content over on Hulu and keeping their family rated type content on the new Disney streaming service. But remember, for Disney, it's all about the new Disney streaming service. That's Bob Iger's legacy. And
when you pop open
if it doesn't fit into the combo of the Disney streaming service, it could very well go tomorrow.
Okay, do you guys know how when you pop open a Disney movie, they have those Disney intros?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that being before AHS.
Yeah, it's not going to be. I fear for FX. I don't fear for American Horror Story because you're right. Ryan's got that Netflix deal. I fear for FX because FX is a very small channel. It's not going to bring in a lot of money to Disney, and it's really going to depend on how Disney formats Fox.
FX has lost a lot of what it used to have. They used to have a lot of a really big lineup, and that's just slowly been cut over the years and chopped down.
Well, and Netflix has blown up too. And am I the only one who had Netflix when it was like 2010? Yeah, it was still.
Yeah, I would worry about Netflix though too, because when the Disney streaming service launches and Disney owns the Disney streaming service and Hulu, and
They're
all that is
trying to buy 'em
revamped.
out.
They're going to kill Netflix. They're going to destroy Netflix. So
Yeah.
I would look forward to Disney owned everything. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens in the next year or so with that. Right now, they're saying they're not messing with any of the Fox properties. But what is Bob Iger going to do with FX? What does he need FX for?
Right.
There's nothing on that network that Bob Iger needs.
Well, apparently now he does.
We'll see. I have a feeling it's going to go away. FX will go away. All them smaller Fox owned properties will go away. But Ryan can move an American Horror Story over to Netflix, which would be fine.
Mhm.
He's made his money. He don't give a fuck.
But I'm just curious in that deal. Does FX own American Horror Story, or does Ryan own American Horror Story? Because if FX owns American Horror Story, that means Disney owns American Horror Story now.
Great. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think
would like
FX
to think
owns.
that Ryan- I would like to think that Ryan was smart enough to say, "Hey, I own this, but you guys are part of it."
Well, I think
But he may not have
FX owns
owned
up
it
until
at the
season
beginning.
10. I think they own up until season 10.
Okay. Now I know
'Cause
that
that's when it wasn't renewed for a season 11.
But again, just because that's contracted to season 10, that don't mean Disney doesn't cut. We may not have season 9 because Disney could very well tomorrow say FX is gone. The FX is off the air as of March 30th, and that means if FX owned American Horror Story to season 10, and Disney now owns American Horror Story till season 10, they're not going to do American Horror Story. They can say kiss off. That's what happens when you change owners like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's done. We'll see what happens in March. Tomorrow's March 1st. We'll see what Disney starts to do. Big changes coming. I tell you that Disney streaming service is going to change a lot for a lot of people.
Well, they're probably not going to allow them to say fuck anymore.
No. They're not putting any adult content on the Disney streaming service. That's going to Hulu. See, Hulu's going to be a whole different machine now, too, now that Disney owns Hulu. Because all those Fox properties, all that kind of stuff is going on Hulu. That makes Hulu a major competitor to Netflix now. Very interesting. I'm surprised that, the Trump era, I'm not surprised. But I think in another administration, another government, I don't think the Disney deal would have been approved. Because it's a monopoly. Disney owns the entertainment business now. They absolutely own it. Because what do they compete with now? Universal? And that's about it?
I have no idea.
It's not much.
I think everybody would riot, though, if,
Doesn't matter.
they canceled American Horror Story Season 9.
Yeah, Bob Iger ain't going to give a shit. It's not going to matter. People can write all they want. It's about money. It's all about money.
That's all it is. Money talks, bullshit walks.
That's right. There could be a million American.
There were enough pissed off fans that we supposedly got another season of Lucifer.
Again, though, think of the network. Disney's not going to give a shit. Period.
No.
They're not going to give a shit.
They won't, because they are all about the money. They're not necessarily about the fans.
They're not about the fans.
They know that you'll still be there, or that they can fans another way.
They could lose you. They don't care to lose you. They absolutely, where other things like Lucifer fans or smaller networks or smaller things, they care about their. Disney
it's a smaller niche.
Disney don't. Look what happened with the backlash to Star Wars. The backlash to Star Wars after Episode 8, huge fan backlash. They didn't care. They could afford to lose that fan base. They didn't care.
Yeah,
that's Star Wars, for Christ's sake.
I know it's Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. They didn't care.
His first ever TV role was on Doctor Who.
It's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to watch what goes down.
Oh, fuck Disney.
Yeah, you better get on board.
I could choke on a hot dog.
Entertainment. That's gonna be your entertainment for the rest of your life. You better get on board.
I'll just stay with Netflix. Fuck them.
Netflix may not be around.
Tom Henson.
Shoot, when is Disney going to buy Netflix? That may happen.
It could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then that would mean there would be no more paying for Hulu and Netflix. It would just be one thing. So I'm okay.
Well, I'm most curious about the Disney.
No, they'd still make you pay for it, each one of them, because they're going to make that money off of each
Well,
want.
here's the trick. Here's the trick that
They'll
I want to know.
raise the prices.
I
Yeah,
want to know
because we
what.
just all agreed to spend fucking $15.99 for Netflix.
Yes, I want to know what they have up their sleeve because Disney streaming service just announced that their price per month is going to be $5.99, and I call bullshit.
That's how they're gonna.
Maybe
absolutely call bullshit. That's what I'm saying.
That's the
Is that
starting
for the
price.
for
Yeah,
the first
but
month or for your trial 10-day period or what?
Yeah.
no, it's probably going to be with commercials and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Because-
it'll be something limited time, like they'll offer it for like the first 2 months or
exactly.
something,
Mm-hmm.
get it up and going, and then once they get a fan base and they get enough people subscribed, then up goes the price.
Yep. Oh well, I want to see how far up it goes and how far they try and push it because you know Disney will push it big time. I was shocked because I was initially saying it was going to be $19.99 or $24.99 for that service because they easily could get that money out of people.
A certain amount of songs in my life.
Because they're going to have those new Marvel shows, they're going to have those new Star Wars shows. They're going to launch the brand new Star Wars live action show on the Disney streaming service as like the platform to launch it. They're going to get billions of freaking subscribers right off the bat.
Oh my god.
That mess ain't going anywhere. That will own the industry. But there you go.
Well, guys,
State of the world.
That's it. Freak show / Disney rant.
Yeah, there you go.
And next week's going to be another apocalypse rant. I don't really give a shit what anybody thinks.
That's all it's going to be. And a hotel rent. So I got my issues with hotel. So there you go.
Me too.
All right.
Mary,
Peace out.
Peace out.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.